It is Bronze and Modern Gods. What's up, everybody? I'm John, and there is Richard. What's going on? You're still doing the pointing thing, right?
Still doing it. How you doing, John?
I'm good. We've got an action-packed show today. We've got a really interesting hot book of the week. We've got 25-year rule that'll make your head spin, not in a good way. We've got our underrated books of the week and a full report from TorpedoCon this past weekend. I got to go, Richard.
Yeah, I know. I'm jealous.
It was interesting. Before we get started, hey, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. We do a bonus episode. You want to know when that goes live, that notification bell will tell you. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. But first, Richard, it is our hot book of the week. What is it?
This week, our hot book of the week is Comico's Primer number 2 from
Kamiko's Primer. Depending on
I'm sorry, Kamiko's Primer.
I know.
Primer number 2 from 1982. Comico put out this anthology book, and in the second issue of the book, there is the first appearance of quite a pivotal character in the indie comic world, Grendel. Matt Wagner introduced Hunter Rose, who was an author who by night was Grendel. He was a novelist turned assassin. Sure. And he also took over New York City crime because why not? But the character was interesting. The storyline was interesting. Unfortunately, Kamiko had a problem with finances and canceled the series. Fortunately, Matt owned the character and introduced him as a backup story in his other famous work, which is Mage, one of my personal favorite indie books.
The backups in Mage actually led to an ongoing Grendel series for Comico that had really just interesting art teams. The Pander brothers started off. The thing about Grendel is that one Grendel would die and then another person would take up the mantle, and they would switch artists when a new person would take over. Bernie Moreau did a run. It was really just a beautiful book, won tons of awards. The problem is, when your company goes bankrupt, your book gets canceled, and then you have to fight over the rights because they had joint ownership of the rights. And luckily, he was able to go to Dark Horse.
Yeah, and the reason why this is on our top, our pick of the week in terms of a hot book, there was a heritage auction last week for this book. The book was owned by Glenn Danzig from who is quite a famous musician. He put this book up for auction, and it sold for $1,320, which beat the previous high of about $1,170. So there was a little bit of extra because it was his book.
By the way, our second Misfits reference in less than 2 weeks. So
that's true.
That's true. There's only 41 9.8s out there.
It's that black cover. It's got to be tough to get in grade. So yeah, 41 9.8, so 669 total on the census. I found amazing. There's 53 books that are signed. So Matt must be out there signing this book.
Yeah, but why not? I mean, it's really his, along with Mage. I would say Grendel's probably his flagship character. Mage, it just comes and goes when he has the muse for Mage. Grendel seems to be a little more consistent with the publishing schedule. Good pick. Hey, these 80s indies people are sleeping on, as all these Marvel and DC first appearances start to become astronomical. I won't be surprised if some of these 80s indies see some spikes.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, we've seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We've seen Albedo number 2 for Usagi Yojimbo. We're seeing spikes for Cerebus. All these books are just key books from the early to mid 80s, and they're really seeing their values increase now as people are recognizing the genius in these books, and that nostalgia factor hits.
I have to mention, I saw a lot of independents up on the dealer walls this weekend at TorpedoCon. In fact, when you look at the footage coming up here from my TorpedoCon report, spot all the independents that you see, like books from Innovation, Dark Horse, First Comics. It was a pleasant surprise. As far as TorpedoCon, it was great to be back at a real show again. I have to say, you had to wear masks indoors, but big deal. You're not going to die. Sorry. There were a lot of great dealers there. Harley Yee. I can't name them all. You'll see them as I walk around here. And it was just really exciting to feel the buzz of a comic book convention once again.
All right, we're here with Michael. How's it going so far?
Great. We're having the best day ever. Donnie Cates is here. Jim Lee is here. We're losing our mind.
Excellent.
Good to see you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Pricing. I'm going to be honest. Pricing was, shall we say, aggressive. And I think it showed. I didn't see a lot of money changing hands. I didn't see a lot of PayPal transactions going down. I didn't see a lot of Venmos being looked up. I saw a lot of people looking. I saw a lot of people oohing and eyeing. I think a lot of people were there more for the multiple signings that were taking place, including Jim Lee was there, Bill Sienkiewicz, your favorite, Donnie Cates, a lot more. There were long lines for the signings, and that kept a lot of people off of the dealer's room floor. It was easy to walk around that dealer's room, Richard.
How was the CGC submission? I heard that you were going to turn some books in.
Well, I have some footage here that you'll like. It doesn't look like CGC is losing any business. As you can see here, you can see the crowd around the CGC submission booth. And then as Raphael zooms in, or in the same shot to the CBCS booth with, they're there by themselves. I think a tumbleweed goes by. To be fair, there were a lot of signature verifications that were being handled on site. So I think that had a lot to do with the CGC having a constant line there. I got to see some of my favorite dealers again, Carbonaro, always fun. And there was plenty of Hercules to be found. As you can see here, lots of Hercules. I gotta say the pricing was a little out of whack. Oftentimes, no lie, 25% above eBay sold prices.
Wow.
It was wacky. But some of these guys, you sell one $5,000, $7,000 book, your weekend is set. You don't really care if you sell everything else. So I get it. I think the people that were doing well were people like Lawrence from P-Dots Comics, who had a lot of lower priced books, and he had to move stuff to make his money, and he was doing some brisk business there. Jeff, the Golden Age Guru, was there, and I loved what he was doing. He was going from booth to booth and doing Instagram live sales for each booth.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just helping out, helping sell some books. And I thought that was really cool. I also got to meet plenty of you guys, including Werebear, like I said, P-Dots Comics. And I had a short chat with Danny, who is Loco4 Comics on Instagram. And I want to share a little bit of this chat because I agree with everything he says.
Okay. Hey, everybody. This is Dan, or Danny. Which do you prefer?
Danny
from Loco4 Comics, right?
That's right.
And
IG.
what were you just telling me about pressing?
That we should all pay you a percentage of the money we've made and saved off of cleaning and pressing comic books, because it's been amazing.
So get on that, everybody. 1%
Yes,
right
1%.
here. I'll send you my Venmo. What do you think so far? Do you have a booth?
No. I'm just here as a vendor this time. So I mean, as a customer, I brought some books to trade.
Yeah.
And yesterday I traded for an FF1 4.5.
Okay.
So this backpack was full and now it's empty.
So don't jump them in the parking lot. There's no need.
No, there's no FF1 in here. It's still in transit, but it's.
Wow. So you made out, huh?
I didn't think I was going to do it, but
Yeah.
that's my grail.
So that was it, Richard. I loved it. I thought it was fun. I didn't buy anything.
No?
I have to say I didn't buy anything. I did submit some books to CGC. Guilty. But I wasn't alone.
Were you tempted?
I was tempted, but I'd already pre-filled out the form online, and it was really easy. I just walked up to the table, dropped it off. They verified my books, and I was gone. Some people bring a lot of books. They don't pre-fill that form, and you have to sit there and do it by hand. Guys, I don't know why you do that. The online form is right there for you. If you know they're going to be at a show, pre-fill it out, just bring it in. You're in and out in 5 minutes. So please do that. But yeah, TorpedoCon, I loved it. Loved hanging out. I think in that way, it was a raging success. So let's see what happens next.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to see conventions come back, even if the mask mandate is still there.
Are you going to do a little NeoCon report for us next week?
Yes, we have a convention here in the Cleveland area, NeoCon, which is it's a pretty big deal. It's a nice event run by a dealer friend of ours, so we're really looking forward to seeing it.
Me too. All right, it is time to go back to the time of conventions every weekend. Everybody hanging out, multiple conventions in places like the Shrine Auditorium in LA or Mid-Ohio Con in Mansfield, Ohio. The time was 1996, and let's go back to the 25-year rule. Did you like the transition there? I actually
that
did.
was wow. You worked on it. You spent some time thinking about it.
I crafted it. All right, Richard, you pick this one. What is the 25-year rule for this week?
Okay, this book totally confuses me. All right, I picked Supergirl #1 for 1996. I'm a Supergirl fan. I love Kara Zor-El. Zor-El. I think it's one of the cooler Superman family of characters. But Supergirl #1 from 1996 is a different beast. It was created by writer Peter David, artist Gary Frank, and it is not Kara, because Kara was retired because of conflicts with Superman's. They wanted to focus on Superman being the sole Kryptonian, so Kara had to go. So they introduced this new character, Linda Lee Danvers, who was no relation to Superman. She was kind of a bad girl. She was involved in some really bad stuff, and she fused with Matrix, which is this otherworldly essence. It's really weird. So she mirrors, and she becomes the new Supergirl, and she fights crime to make amends for all the bad things she did when she was simply Linda. The series ran for 80 issues, so I had a nice long run. This #1 had 3 printings to it, which like I said, it's trying to understand the relationship between this Supergirl and the rest of the DC universe is just really, really strange.
What I love about the really convoluted nature of this title is that not only does she become Supergirl and Matrix and Linda Danvers and but later on it's revealed that she was an angel. And they actually have kind of a sequel after this series is canceled that Peter David wrote called Fallen Angel, which is the further adventures of this character. But he was a creator-owned thing, so he actually owned it. So when DC canceled it, he took it to IDW, and they continue. Oh my God, Peter David! I know a lot of you like Peter David. I mean, sometimes,
yeah. This was a left turn in terms of Supergirl, in my opinion.
It's not Supergirl. I mean, let's be frank. It's not Supergirl.
No, it's not Supergirl. It's not Supergirl. The last GPA sale for this book was in September of last year for $90, so it's not a high price book. I find it more an oddity in this universe more than anything else. So yeah, this is one of those scratch your heads from 25 years ago.
Hey, it was hugely popular when it came out, 3 printings, so someone was buying it. But I'm hot and cold on Peter David. I like some of his stuff, but a lot of times it's like he thinks of a really bad pun and then writes a story and just solely to get to that bad pun so he can tell the bad pun. And,
like Abe Lincoln, Hey Blinken, and Men with Tights. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. All right. It is time to move on to our underrated books of the week. My pick is really kind of more in Richard's wheelhouse. And that is The Maze Agency #1. What is this book, you say, John? Have you lost your mind yet again? This lighthearted detective series, in the vein of the old TV series Moonlighting, was Adam Hughes's first regular art assignment. A little bit of good girl cheesecake art here and there from Adam. He stayed with the book for a year. And, while it's not the slam bam superhero action he really got into comic books for, he does credit the Maze Agency and its more realistic storylines with really improving his storytelling skills. So I see what he's saying there. He was also working at a comic shop when he was penciling this book. He was working at the comic shop. From here, he went on to Justice League America and Superstar status. But here's where it all started. Maze Agency #1, tough black cover. There's been one whole GPA sale of this book in 9.8 in the history of histories. And that was in September 2018 for a whopping 24 doll hairs.
Wow. That almost doesn't cover shipping.
No. So if you want it, it's on the cheap. If you're an Adam Hughes fan, you're a completist, here you go.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick, John. My pick this week is another odd book. It's called Shatter #1. This was created by Peter B. Gillis and Michael Sands. It's the first computer generated art for an entire series. This was back in the early 80s when computers meant IBM PCs and in this case a Macintosh Plus. This whole book was drawn on a Macintosh Plus with Mac Paint.
Was
now,
he like pixel by pixel with a mouse, or
with when they originally started working on the book, they didn't have a digital pad, so they drew it with a mouse.
Oh my God.
I cannot imagine. Now, Mac Paint is not like, you don't have multiple colors. You have either white or you have black at the time. So there was the coloring itself was done by Sens, after the fact. They actually printed out the work on, they would do the artwork. Only 2/3 of the work would fit on the screen, so they had to scroll up and down to be able to work on it. They would print it out on a dot matrix printer. It wasn't until like 3 years into the series that Apple actually donated to them an ImageWriter laser printer. And you could see the difference in quality from those earlier books to the later books because, they now have access to the laser printer. But they would print the page out, and then they would photograph it and then use traditional publishing processes off of that photograph. It's a crazy, crazy process. But yeah, this was the first book that used a computer for more than, accenting a particular title for its use for the whole book. The story itself is interesting. There are no permanent jobs. Everyone is a temp worker, including
familiar,
but including the police. And it's a crime story. For this one police officer is trying to solve a crime. It is not very popular. I remember buying this book off the shelf, and I loved this. Well, I shouldn't say love it. I thought it was a good story. I thought it was a good book. It was an interesting book because of the artwork. So I collected pretty much the first half of the series. But I dropped off after a while. This book really has no intrinsic value. Unfortunately, you can go to eBay and buy this for $3 for #1. It's really doesn't, for some reason, has not seemed to even retain a historical value. But if you're interested in some really oddball artwork and computer generated artwork to begin with, I mean, this is all before what we have now. This is real prehistoric stuff. Take a look at Shatter #1. I'm sure you could pick it up really cheap.
People will buy sealed graded copies of Tron on VHS, but they won't pick up poor Shatter for #1. I remember Mike Zanes, as the technology got better, he actually did a graphic novel for Marvel on computer, Iron Man Crash, and it was actually color and it was really nice looking. It's dated now, of course, but it was something else at the time. And the title Shatter, is that a form of the verb shat?
That's pretty much what it turned out to be, John.
Okay. Checking. All right, that's going to do it for us this week. If you're not following us on Facebook and Instagram, we beseech thee, please do so at Bronze and Modern Gods. If you like what you see each week here, like it, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know how to do it, right?
Tell your mom. She may want to watch.
Yeah, tell your mom. And we will be back later this week. And then next week, I'm going to be at a fun location coming in remotely. And that's all I'll say about that.
It should be interesting.
We will see you next time.
Everybody stay safe.